Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus offers key specs including a 6.6 inches AMOLED display, a triple camera arrangement, and Qualcomm's unique Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy chipset. Yet is it a commendable move up to last year's Galaxy S22 Plus? I invested a touch of energy with the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus at an involved occasion before its uncover, and this is my opinion on it up until this point. Design and screen. Refreshed design. Somewhat too huge for one gave use. Beautiful 6.6 in AMOLED display. Like the passage-level Samsung Galaxy S23, the Galaxy S23 Plus has had a slight change to its plan to make it all the more intently look like the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It's a more bound-together approach to plan than the S22 series, with the Ultra model appearing to be totally unique to the remainder of the assortment, with both the S23 and S23 Plus dumping the molded camera lodging on the back for something significantly more moderate, that is matched with level aluminum edges and shockingly adjusted corners, basically contrasted with the Ultra model that, as I would like to think, brings the look and feel of the S23 Plus nearer to that of an iPhone 14. I'm certain there will be certain individuals that affection it. However, for my purposes, it's excessively basic. Indeed, even a finished wrap on the back would have energized things up a little. The variety choices are additionally in a state of harmony across the reach, with each of the three models coming in similar ghost dark, cream, green, and lavender completes the process of, meaning you will not need to fork out any extra to get the variety you like. The 6.6 in AMOLED display implies that the Galaxy S23 Plus isn't exactly pretty much as pocketable as the 6.1 inches Galaxy S23, however it's still far away from the monster that is the Galaxy S23 Ultra. It's as yet conceivable to utilize it one gave as I found out during my active meeting. However, the edges of the S23 Plus felt recognizably more keen than those of the standard S23, which felt relatively exquisite in the hand. The level 6.6 inches display is one of the solid selling points of the S23 Plus, however, it's brilliant, striking, and rich smooth thanks to the blend of dynamic AMOLED 2X tech, a high gold display, and a 120Hz refresh rate. It's the best size for watching TikToks and looking at online entertainment, as I would like to think, with a screen sufficiently enormous to truly see the value in the more modest subtleties. However, with the undeniable provisos about its general size, it isn't so unique in relation to its ancestor honestly, except for Corning's best-in-class Gorilla Glass 2 Victus screen protection that Corning proposes ought to perform well when dropped onto substantial surfaces. Yet we should watch out for what comes next once the phone starts to show up in the possession of especially drop-prone shoppers in half a month's time. It's likewise more eco-accommodating than its ancestor, with Samsung guaranteeing that the phone utilizes a mix of reused parts and materials like reused fishing nets, water barrels, and pet jugs. However, precisely the amount of the generally smartphone is produced using reused materials is yet to be affirmed. Cameras, just minor back camera improvements, crude photography up to 50 MP, new 12-megapixel selfie camera. With the expansion of an incredible 200-megapixel snapper on the S23 Ultra, you might have been expecting comparable increases on the standard models. Yet that is unfortunately not the situation. Like its ancestor, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus accompanies the back blend of a 50-megapixel principal, 12-megapixel 120-degree wide point, and a 10-megapixel 3x zooming focal point. That may not energize those hoping to redesign from the S22 territory. Yet improvements to the locally available man-made intelligence mean photograph processing has improved. I snapped away during my pre-brief and was really dazzled by the degree of detail. However, I ought to take note of that it was a genuinely sufficiently bright space. The genuine test will be when light levels start to drop. There are upgrades to the master crude with the current year's S23 Plus ready to take full-goal 50-megapixel crude pictures, a remarkable improvement contrasted with the 12-megapixel result of the S22 territory. I can't see many individuals utilizing crude consistently with such huge record sizes. However, it's good to have the choice to extract however much detail from a scene as could reasonably be expected. There's additionally high-level video performance with the capacity to shoot in up to 8 Kelvin at 30 FPS with quicker frame rates accessible at 1080p and 4 Kelvin. Flip the S23 Plus over and you'll see a redesigned 12-megapixel forward-looking selfie camera, up from 10 megapixel, with new highlights including Samsung's Super HDR and 60 FPS video recording capacity. While that may not seem like a very remarkable lift, it's significant that this is the equivalent selfie camera tracked down in the top-end S23 Ultra, so anticipate extraordinary things. Performance: Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. Same 44-watt charging as S23 Ultra. Genuinely huge 4700 mAh battery. At the core of the Samsung Galaxy S23 Plus, you'll find a unique rendition of Qualcomm's most recent chipset named the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy. It's not only a straightforward marking exercise either. Qualcomm has affirmed that the special rendition of its most recent chipset accompanies a helped 3.36 GHz Pinnacle central processor speed, up from 3.2 GHz of the standard 8 Gen 2, alongside an overhauled Adreno GPU that is both better performing and more energy effective than the standard chipset. The Samsung phones ought to have a remarkable edge in performance contrasted with other Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 prepared leaders. However, I'll save judgment until I have full benchmark results. The best news for European fans is that the Galaxy S23 Plus will deliver with the Qualcomm chipset regardless of where you are. A much-needed development contrasted with the Snapdragon and Exynos split throughout recent years. That is matched with either 256GB or 512GB of stockpiling, relying upon the variation you go for. Given the absence of a microSD card opening, a higher stockpiling level is a pleasant choice for especially capacity-weighty clients. Those 8 Kelvin recordings you'll most likely be shooting take up a great deal of extra room, all things considered. One of the critical advantages of the bigger Galaxy S23 Plus contrasted with its more modest kin is battery duration, flaunting a bigger 4700 mAh battery, up 200 mAh from last year. That is extremely near the 5 mAh of the top-end S23 Ultra. That is matched with a similar 44W charging as the Ultra model, a 19W lift contrasted with the 25W charging of the standard S23. It's not precisely fast contrasted with the 120W charging from any semblance of the Xiaomi 12, yet it ought to lessen how much time you spend fastened to the wall. The Galaxy S23 Plus ships with Android 13 shaking Samsung's most recent One UI 5.1 skin on top. It flaunts new highlights like customizable modes and schedules that, as I comprehend, offer something near the center modes acquainted with iPhone with iOS 16. There are additionally more modest elements like the capacity to answer to an approaching call with a text utilizing Bixby and new UI customization instruments to appreciate. However, it's not precisely a historic update to Samsung's skin. There is, nonetheless, 4 years of Android operating system redesigns and 5 years of safety reports on offer that ought to take you through to Android 17. Android phone creators have been reinforcing long-haul programming support throughout the course of recent years, yet Samsung's is as yet one of the most serious for long-haul use.